ASMR. When Penny asked me if I wanted to rent an apartment with her, I agreed despite her ASMR obsession. We had been friends since freshman year of college, and I doubted that I would find another roommate on such short notice. The spring semester was just about to begin, and I didn't want to either go back to the dorms or have to pay for a place of my own. This left me with Penny, who has so many idiosyncrasies that she makes even boisterous TV characters like Sheldon Cooper look wooden in comparison. When I say that Penny is obsessed with ASMR, I mean that she lives for that stuff. Every evening, she returned to her apartment from class and locked herself in her room and watched a menagerie of tingle videos. At first, I thought this was weird. I thought that we were going to be hanging out more now that we lived together. But after a couple of weeks of her shutting herself down away in her room, it didn't bother me anymore. I just did my best to push her out of my mind, do my homework, or watch Netflix. Then, one morning, I awoke to the sight of her standing in my doorway. Her eyes were glued to my face as if my features were sculpted from gold. The intense look in her brown eyes nearly scared me to death. "Jesus, Penny," I said, "what are you doing there?" If I wouldn't have been so scared at the time, I would have realized that the real question to ask started with the phrase, "How long?" "You were talking in your sleep," she said. Or whispering, rather. I wasn't sure if I should wake you or not. "Well, I am now." My voice came out more aggressive than I would have liked, given my aversion towards conflict. Luckily, Penny is always easygoing and let the comment echo in the walls without escalating the situation. I've talked in my sleep ever since I was a kid. "Oh, I didn't mean to startle you. I just thought it sounded nice is all." Then she turned around and disappeared into the living room without saying another word. A few days went by, and I didn't think much about this incident until that Friday. I awoke from a nap to find her sitting right below me on the couch. Her face was no more than 5 feet away from mine, and the pleasure plastered to her lips and eyes as they scanned my flesh almost looked carnal. I felt like the Penny that I had come to know and like had been replaced by a smiling Annabelle doll. I bolted up on the couch and fired daggers at her with my eyes. "Are you watching me sleep?" I asked. "Of course not," she said. "I was just leaning down to pick up the remote." She brandished the remote in her hand. "You must have kicked it off the armrest while you were sleeping." I was about to put it back on the coffee table and go back to my room, but then I heard you whispering in your sleep again. Your voice sounded so peaceful that it made me pause for a minute. "Next time you hear me whispering in my sleep, keep moving," I said, not caring if my voice sounded aggressive anymore. "It makes me uncomfortable. This is the second time this week that I've caught you watching me." hasn't been 3 times. She rose to her feet and sauntered to her room, leaving me there on the couch to unpack the deeper meaning behind such an ominous statement. It wasn't until I awoke in my bed 2 days later to the sight of her ear no more than 3 inches away from my mouth that I finally lost it. The image of her hovering over me like that, face racked with pleasure, had just been too horrifying. I could practically see her skin tingling from my breath in her ear and felt like vomiting. The sight of her earwax covered ear canal only intensified my nausea. I slithered out from under the covers and then jumped to my feet. "What the hell is wrong with you, Penny?" I asked. Based on the wrinkles in her clothes, I could tell that she had been laying by my side, listening, for hours. Penny glared at me from her spot on the bed, as if I had just interrupted her favorite movie. "What?" she said. "I could hear you whispering from my room. So I came in last night to make sure that you were okay. It's no big deal. We're roommates, for Christ's sake. Doesn't that make us best friends?" "Not if you're gonna sneak into my room at night and dangle your ear in front of my mouth. That is just sick. What has gotten into you? You don't seem like the kind of person who would violate me like that. And you don't seem like the kind of person who would whisper in her sleep. But I guess we all get lucky sometimes, don't we?" I stood there staring at her for a few moments, mouth opened wider than a train tunnel, trying to decide whether or not she was being serious. After staring at the carnal grin still plastered on her face, though, and noticing the goosebumps covering the skin of her arms like speed bumps, I knew that she was being dead serious. The thought that she had been laying by my side for most of the night, pleasuring herself to the sounds of my breathing and whispers, sent a wave of fear so powerful crashing over me that I felt like fleeing the apartment. Instead, I berated her so hard, my cheeks turned red, and made her promise that she would never watch me while I sleep again. I then banished her from my room and went on with my life. The rest of the semester passed smoothly. I finished my finals, met my boyfriend, and most importantly, never awoke to the sight of Penny hovering over me again. But then yesterday, I noticed that there was something taped to one of the planks on my headboard. The object was right next to where my head usually rests while I sleep. I tore it from the wood, removed the tape, and then gasped when I realized what it was. The object was a voice recorder, and the light was glowing red.